What's up guys, my name is Santino and today I'm going to be showing you how to build your very own model airplane using the supplies provided. This is going to be a step-by-step tutorial, so please follow along and feel free to pause at any point if I get too far ahead. With that said, let's take it to the bench. In front of us we have all of the materials that we're going to need for this project. We have this plastic which is going to be used to cover the wing and tail surfaces. These balsa sticks are going to be used to produce the frames of said wing and tail surfaces. We have this balsa wood stick which is going to be used as our fuselage. This rubber band combined with the propeller and pin are going to provide thrust for this plane. And we have a few tools. We have hot glue gun, we have some sandpaper, a pencil, an X-Acto knife, scissors, and a square. So now, with that being said, let's get into the video. For this part, we'll only be needing these balsa wood sticks. All right, let's begin. Our first step is to produce this. This is the wing surface. On the screen are the dimensions of the sticks I'm using to build my wing surface. I want to preface the rest of this tutorial by saying that these are the dimensions I'm choosing to use for my parts. If you want to change any of the design elements because you think a modification will aid your airplane's performance, I encourage you to do so. My design has a ton of room for adaptation and improvement. Feel free to change the shape of any parts on the airplane that you like. Sand a slight angle into the ends of your sticks that will form the leading edge of your wing. Glue the leading edge of your wing together at a slight angle, like so. This will provide dihedral to the wings, which improves the airplane's stability in the air. It should look like this when done. Repeat this process again so that you have two identical structures. These are going to become the leading and tailing edge of our wing. In their current state, these structures are very weak. Our next step is to brace them so that they'll have more structural rigidity. To do this, we're going to cut two approximately 1.5 inch long pieces, and then we're going to shave an angle using the sandpaper into both ends. Glue this small brace in place at the center of your angled structures. Be sure to glue the structures at the same angle so your plane flies smoothly. Our next step is to connect these two structures. Use a ruler to cut three 3.5 inch long sections, like so. Attach these sections to either end of the frame. This is what your wing should look like when it's done. Next, we'll be building the vertical stabilizer. These are my vertical stabilizer's dimensions. I'm going to begin by gluing my two 3.5 inch pieces together at a 90-degree angle. Next, I'm gluing the top part of the vertical stabilizer on. Finally, I'm gluing the front edge of the stabilizer on. I use my knife to cut angles into the ends of my sticks so the glue holds better. And voila. Next, we're going to be building the tail surface. These are what my tail dimensions are. Begin by marking the halfway point of the rear edge of your tail. Glue your middle spar at this mark, making sure this angle is square. Attach either end of the tail at 90 degrees too, and then glue the final sections onto the frame. Once again, I've cut an angle into these so they glue better. Now we have all our surfaces completed. This is what you should have now. Our next step is to cover these in plastic so they'll have authority in the air and will let the plane fly. As you can see, I've cut sections out of the plastic to give us pieces that heavily overlap our frame's dimensions. Be sure to overcut to give yourself some wiggle room when gluing. We'll start with the wing. Our first step is to place small beads of glue along the bottom surface of the wing, being careful but also quick so that the glue isn't dry by the time we press it into the plastic. I'd suggest putting glue every 2 inches or so on the frame. Make sure your plastic sheet is flat before placing the frame on it. Flip the frame back over and then fold the plastic back so we can put more glue on this side of the wing. When this is done, press this side into the plastic too. Cut the excess away, which should leave you with something looking like this. Repeat this process of gluing and cutting away the excess plastic on both remaining frames. Here's my vertical stabilizer, and here's my tail. When this is done, you should have 3 plastic covered frames like this. Our next step involves this thicker balsa stick.
which is going to act as our fuselage. Attach the tail to the flat side of the fuselage about 1.5 inches from the end. Next, attach the vertical stabilizer, making sure to use adequate glue and to make sure that these surfaces are perpendicular to each other. This is what it should look like when you're done. Press the propeller onto the front end of the fuselage. If your fuselage doesn't fit into the propeller mount at first, sand each side slightly until it fits snugly. If your fuselage is too loose, add a dab of glue to hold it in place. Next, we need to figure out where we want our wing on our fuselage. Wing placement is important as it will determine how well your airplane will glide and produce lift. You want the center of your wing to balance at the place where the airplane balances but pitches up slightly on your fingers. This should be 1 to 3 inches behind the front of the plane. Place a bead of glue on the top of your fuselage at the correct spot and firmly press the two together, making sure to hold them in the correct orientation for at least 20 seconds so the glue has time to dry. Your last step is to press the pin into the bottom of the fuselage, at the point where the front of the tail meets the rest of the plane. Tie the ends of your rubber band into a loop using a firm double knot and press it through the small loop in the metal bit protruding from the propeller. Hook the other end around the pin and begin winding like so. You may need to hold some of the slack in the rubber band for it to wind properly in the beginning. Make sure to wind the propeller clockwise from the front. Wind your propeller approximately 200 times to prepare it for launch, and then you're set. Your plane is complete. When launching, use 2 hands to gently throw it at a slight upward angle, with one hand holding the propeller until just before release, and the other just below the wing on the fuselage. Make sure you don't point your plane at anyone when launching. When you're ready, let go of the propeller, let it spin up for about a second, and then gently toss the airplane into the air. These work best in places with low wind and few obstacles to hit. A tall, empty room is ideal. With that said, I wish you the best of luck on any challenges you compete in, and happy flying!